Hey y'all, so today we're going to do a re-review of the Smith & Wesson Model 638 J-frame. Now, before I get into the video, I want to say if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out, helps me fight the YouTube algorithm that does not want this content on the platform, doesn't cost anything, and I really appreciate it. Also down below, coupon codes for the companies that help me out. They give us coupon codes for my viewers, so enjoy. Now, the Smith & Wesson Model 638. This gun has been around for a long time, and this gun in particular, I've had for like 6 years. I did a review of it 5 years ago, and again, I'm kind of doing like a re-review of this because the original video I did was pretty gnarly. It's pretty early days, and I just thought I could do a better job of it. Plus, do an update because now that the gun is 5 years older, as you can see, it's got some wear on it. You know, it's definitely not factory fresh anymore, so I can give a more in-depth review. But yeah, so the 638 is what they call their shrouded hammer style J-frame. Smith & Wesson does three primary styles for J-frame. They do the shrouded hammer, which this is. They do the concealed hammer, which is just a double action only gun with no hammer at all exposed. And they have the traditional hammer style, which basically is this, but without the shroud. So you can just cock it single action, and then if you want to fire double action, you can. This is my favorite by far because while most people will say in modern self-defense situations you're not going to have time to cock the hammer, I'd like the option regardless. Plus, shooting at the range can also be fun, so I like having the shrouded hammer. This gun weighs about 14 and a half ounces, right? So pretty lightweight. It's a aluminum alloy frame with a steel cylinder and barrel. Barrel length on this thing is 1.8 inches. They all kind of right around 2 inches. Smith does a lot of J frames, and a lot of them, you know, are like right around the 2 inch mark. A lot of these, like the cheaper air weights, are a little bit right below 2 inches, where some of the other ones, like the 357 models, are slightly above 2 inches. This is the slightly under 2 inches, but basically 2 inch barrel length. Sights on this gun are, well, they're not bad, but they're definitely not good. I painted this front sight up here, which everything is molded into the frame, so you really can't change anything. But I painted that front sight up there to make that easier to grab, right? You've got that front blade up there, and you've got kind of this gutter in the rear. So sight picture is not, for a small gun, it's not the worst I've ever seen, but it's definitely, um, it's lacking. But at the same time, it's a good thing that's like that because the whole point of this gun, you know, a lot of people carry these guns. It's kind of what they're known for, is as a carry gun. And they're also known for being a pocket gun, whether you put it in a vest pocket, whether you put it in a jacket pocket, whether you put it in your pants pocket. You know, wherever you might go with this, chances are it's going to be deep concealment. I've carried this over the years, everything from tucked on my ankle to stuck in my waistband to in a pocket. And, you know, one of the reasons why the sights are like this is because the whole top of this gun, there's really not much to snag on your pocket. And that's kind of what you're looking for, and that's kind of why the shrouded hammer version, for me, is way more useful than your traditional exposed hammer, because it makes it, if you're drawing this rapidly out of a pocket, that you can do so without worrying about anything snagging. It's all pretty smooth up here, right? Cylinder release, you know, standard Smith & Wesson, push the button in, cylinder opens up. 5 shots, right? Again, this is a steel cylinder, right? Something I've noticed with J-frames, at least with the ones I've handled, is the push in and pop out can be a little tighter than with some of the larger revolvers. I don't know if that's just because you're kind of working with a tighter, smaller little gun here. Maybe it's a little more awkward, but I did notice you got to kind of give it a little bit of effort to pop out. Nothing terrible, nothing that, you know, you're going to notice when you're shooting it, but just compared to some of the other Smith & Wesson releases I've handled, this is a little tight to pop out, right? Ejector rod is short, so you do have to be careful because, and I'll show here, right, the ejector rod does not stick out far enough to fully pop out around. So when you're shooting the gun, you're definitely going to want to give it a good hard thump if you want to ensure that the shells all pop out. Never really been an issue, just something to keep in mind is that you don't have a full-length ejector rod due to the shortness of the gun. Trigger on this gun. So when I first got this gun, the trigger on this was fairly heavy, smooth but heavy, right? So once you shoot it, which I will say, if you go get a Smith J frame, one of the things you're probably going to want to do is practice with it a bunch, because this is kind of a it's not a beginner style gun. They are quite snappy, especially with the 38 Special Plus P, which this thing is rated for. They're rated for 38 Special and 38 Special Plus P. But after shooting it a lot, like several hundred rounds, and also dry firing it quite a lot, several hundred times with snap caps, the trigger has really smoothed out. It's still a little bit on the heavy side, but it's smoothed out to the point where it's not as noticeable, and it really is smooth. And I found that it's very easy to stage, right? Like I can pull it to right there and I know that it's just about to go off, right? So it's been very easy in my practice shooting to go stage it, know it's right there, line up my sights, and then fire. So trigger is heavy. I will say it's definitely heavier than like the Ruger LCR, but a heavy trigger, once you get used to it and once you practice with it, is not the end of the world. Really, no major complaints about this gun. I know actually I talk trash about Smith & Wesson quite a lot, including my recent boycott of them. Not really recent, just recently announced. But again, I bought this gun like 6 years ago, and this is actually one of the only Smith & Wessons I own that has never gone back for any factory defects. So it's got that going for it. They're really handy little guns. I like the grips on this. Now these are aftermarket grips. It comes with usually they'll come with a set of black rubber grips. They're not bad. They are all boot grip. So what a boot grip is see how the frame stops right here, right? So that's where the grip stops. Now it's only a 2-finger grip, but it kind of does fill your hand. Like I've got big hands, and I will say, even with big hands, this little gun does kind of feel good in the hand. It's not like, like some of the smaller, like the Car 380s and some of the LCPs and stuff, some of the smaller semi-auto pocket guns can really feel like you don't know where to put your hands because there's so little gun to grab onto. Not so with this. Even with a 2-finger boot grip, I feel like I can get a comfortable enough hold on the gun where it's not going to go flying out of my hands. They do offer, you can get a ton of aftermarket parts for this, mostly grips, but you can get grips, cylinder releases, different stuff. They make spring kits for this gun. You can, if you want to drill out and change that, you can change your front sight. Honestly, putting some red paint on the front kind of fixed what my main issue was, which was being able to grab it in a little bit darker scenarios. But honestly, overall, I think that if you're looking for a pocket revolver, you can't get much more iconic than the Smith J frame. And again, the 638 is kind of the best of both worlds, giving you the option to have a single action trigger pull if the situation arises where you need it. Modern shooting tactics with revolvers pretty much is you're never going to need single action. You're going to fire in double action. At the end of the day, there are instances, that 40-yard shot that just happened, where single action might come in handy. But yeah, really nice little gun. Accuracy on this gun, the gun is going to be way more accurate than shooting a snub nose revolver. Many refer to it as like an expert's gun, and I can definitely agree that it is not something. Do not, if you're looking to buy someone their first gun, I would not buy them this. If you're looking to buy someone their first gun they're going to carry, I would not buy them this. This is manageable but quite snappy because it's only 14 ounces, and when you put 38 Special Plus P in this, it is snappy. It is maintainable. It is something you can definitely, it's not like firing a 44 Magnum air weight or something where it's going to fly up and be crazy, but it's definitely something that a new shooter probably isn't going to enjoy shooting, the amount they're going to need to practice to get good with it. So I would not recommend it for new shooters. But overall, this gun has served me well for many years now, about 6 years of, one form or another, it getting carried. The finish, you can see the finish on this is pretty beat up. right? But I'm not even faulting the finish for that because this has been on my ankle, in my pocket, tucked in my waistband. Like this gun really has seen, a lot of use, a lot of carry. I guess my one big flaw for this gun is when you carry it in your pocket, you are gonna want to keep Q-tips and oil handy because the amount of gunk I have gotten out of this slot, right? It's just crazy, after carrying it for a week or so, how much gunk and filth can get into there. So I'd recommend every once in a while giving that a clean out if you're carrying it in your pocket or carrying the gun in general. You should always wipe down your carry guns every once in a while, get the oils from your skin off the gun, put a protective coat of, a good oil like Ballistol or something on it, and keep them good. But that's pretty much it. That's my re-review of the Smith & Wesson 638. It's a good little gun. If you're looking for a pocket 38 revolver, I would definitely give it a look at, especially if you can find an older one. The older ones, you're going to have less chance of poor quality control from Smith & Wesson, but definitely a neat little gun. So put down below, do you have a 638? What's your favorite Smith J frame? But put down below and have a good day.